Then there is a Texas-sized shakeup on the national political scene. A longtime Republican senator was defeated last night by the Texas Attorney General, a candidate backed by President Trump.
The Democrats now think they have a shot at stealing the seat in Texas and shifting the balance of power in Congress. Let's bring in Professor Stephen Caliendo, Dean of College of Arts and Sciences and Professor of Political Science at North Central College as well. Always good to see you.
Great to see you both. How are you?
Yeah, the beard is gone, my man.
Dropped a couple years off my age with that, didn't I?
I get sidetracked very easily. All right, let's talk about this incumbent. He lost the runoff to Texas Attorney General Kim Paxton. How big of an upset was this?
Well, I mean, it was expected as of last night. In other words, it wasn't a surprise last night, but it's a big upset. I mean, this is somebody who's been in the Senate for 24 years. President Trump has really exerted his political pressure on anybody that he feels hasn't done everything they possibly can to advance his agenda. He was upset with Senator Cornyn, and so he threw his endorsement in the runoff to Ken Paxton.
Who is the Democratic candidate in this race, and why do Democrats think they have a chance?
His name's John Tallarico, and I don't know why they think they have a chance. Oh. They don't have much of a chance. But I will tell you that last night, the Cook Political Report took this Senate seat, and their original rating was likely Republican, and they moved it to leans Republican, which is less Republican. In other words, it's not quite in the toss-up category. That would be the next category. But I will tell you, there's probably going to be close to $500 million spent on this race in Texas. The Democrats are serious in terms of thinking that the demographics have shifted. This candidate, Paxton, is much weaker than Senator Cornyn in terms of the baggage that he carries. And they believe that since President Trump is so unpopular nationwide, that it's worth spending money. And so Republicans are going to have to spend money now to defend a seat that typically they wouldn't have thought much about.
Unpopular nationwide, but does this kind of prove that he still has influence on the Republican Party, a grip, if
Absolutely.
you will?
No question about it. He is the kingmaker in the Republican Party. The question is, will that translate to an election where everybody's allowed to vote, not just people who are registered Republicans or people who pull a Republican ballot? Because all we've seen over in the springtime has been primaries. And so these are places where Republicans vote, and also voter turnout is lower. So in a midterm election, when everybody's allowed to vote, you have independents and Democrats as well. The question is, will President Trump's endorsement be a help then, or will it be a hindrance?
All right. I also want to ask you this. The bombastic Congressman Al Green lost his seat in the primary. Many of our viewers might be familiar with him and his antics. That's why I bring this up. But also, it was a race on the Democrat side that pitted two incumbents against each other, and that's because of the redistricting that happened in the state of Texas. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, there was a lot of that happening. Of course, it was quite intentional. President Trump asked the state of Texas to redraw congressional lines, which was a little bit odd because typically those are redrawn right after the census, which happens in years that end in 0. And so we weren't supposed to be looking at remapping congressional districts until 2031 and for the 2032 elections. And so once he did that, that's what triggered all these other states. The Democratic states tried to do it. Other Republican states, some have done it. Some, as we saw in South Carolina yesterday, have refused to do it. When Indiana refused to do it, you might remember, Natalie, that President Trump backed some challengers in local races, in local state legislature races that beat incumbent Republicans. And so this redistricting effort that's taking place mid-census is somewhat it's unprecedented. But the battle is on at this point, and part of that is splitting up particular neighborhoods, but part of it also is making incumbents compete against one another in primaries like we saw last night.
Professor Caliendo, before we let you go, any other races across the nation we should be keeping our eye on?
These were the biggest, I mean, we'll have to see. I think that if President Trump is going to stay on this path, I think we might want to keep our eye on Alabama and South Carolina as we move forward into the season to see if he targets some of those folks in primaries. I can't, to be honest with you, I don't know if Alabama or South Carolina have had their primaries already this year, but we have another election cycle in 2 years. And so this seems to be his MO right now. He's very... remember what it's doing. It's not just pushing people out of races. It's making it clear to anybody who's still in the legislature that they need to do what he wants or there's going to be trouble. So I will keep my eye on that. No races in particular, though. I think we're going to be, it's going to be a quiet summer. There's going to be a lot of spending coming toward the end of the summer. And then we are all going to have a lot to talk about come fall.
Looks like Alabama's is in June, so next month.
Thank you. Good. Yeah, so let's keep an eye on Alabama.
All right. Thank you so much, Professor Caliendo.
Always really
Thanks
good
to
see
both
you,
of you.
sir.
Good to see you.
Yeah, you too.